We feel so helpless, but there are things that we can do. If you live outside Exeter, please write to your MP and let them know you want our government to go faster and deeper on the economic sanctions that we need to put in to cripple the Putin regime. Please tell them you want the government to finally close down the London laundromat that has been laundering dirty Russian money for far too long. Please tell them you want the government to lift its usual visa restrictions. It is obscene. It is obscene that we're suggesting to Ukrainians fleeing Putin's blitzkrieg that they should apply for the agricultural seasonal worker scheme. They need to be allowed into this country just as their neighbours, Poland, Germany and others are allowing them into their country. These are desperate people fleeing an invasion. If you can afford it, and I know we live in very straitened times, all of the major international relief agencies and charities have already set up Ukraine-specific funds. So please, you may support one of these already. When you leave here today, go online, check these out. If you can spare any money, please donate. The Ukrainian Embassy in London has also set up a fund. So please be generous with whatever you can, because I think we all feel we need to try to do what we can in this terrible, terrible situation. And finally, please take a photograph of this event, lots of photographs of this event. Circulate them on social media. Many people here will have friends and relatives in Ukraine. There are many people here from our Ukrainian community. Activities like this showing solidarity really do help keep the morale up of the people still left in Ukraine and those fleeing from Putin's bombs. So please spread that word. And finally, thank you for coming. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful turnout by the people of Exeter. Long live free, democratic Ukraine!
Thank you, Ben. I don't think you should retire, by the way. I'm holding up my phone because I've got my cousin Vigil from Chernetsy in western Ukraine. Vigil, can you hear us? Thank you, Baz. Okay, Basil. Thank you. You can tell he's a Bialik, he can't stop talking. Basil, it's great, you know. Okay, Basil. Yeah. Good go. I can see why they won't let you have a visa, because you'd be on the council as well with me. Look, we have to smile sometimes and just keep ourselves together. It's so important. I've been on to the family daily. You know, his two eldest sons will be joining the militia to fight for their country. They won't be leaving, they want to stay together as a family. The majority of Ukrainians, if not all, don't want to leave their country. It's their country, they're proud of their country. My father was proud of his country. He was brought here by circumstances after the Second World War. That's a long story to have a chat with me in the pub about sometimes. but he made his home here. As my brother is with me, Simon, my wife, my sister, and there's many Ukrainian friends of my father that I've bumped into this morning, and it's been wonderful. It was a good community, and I've met some Ukrainian people here today, over here. So what? Yeah. Thank you. So Ben's articulated the case about visas and what we should do. My own view is government should be setting up reception centres in Poland, in Hungary, Romania, Moldova to accept Ukrainians who may want to come over here temporarily. This is a city of sanctuary, a proud city of sanctuary. We will always support refugees. I shall be having a meeting tomorrow, hopefully within the council and the offices. I want to do much more. I don't want to be about gesture politics. I want us to do something. I want to organise something so the Ukrainian community can come together, and anybody who's affected by it to retain our links. It used to be a fantastic community. We've got the Exeter together down at the Exeter Community Centre, Kate Hannum and the team there. We need to build up those links together. Exeter is a welcoming city. It will remain a welcoming city. So, having promised everybody that it wasn't going to be about speech making, I'll be quiet. And all I would say to you, to say to Ben, thank you sincerely, Ben. I've met a lot of people, and perhaps what we can do in a moment is perhaps have some quiet reflection for those people, and you've seen the pictures. You've seen the pictures precisely, and it's nice to see that Poland are saying come to us with their pets as well. So on that point, can I ask us all just to spend 5 to 10 minutes, and when you feel you've done enough, quiet reflection, and then perhaps mingle, talk to each other, because that's what's been so missing lately. Just 4 or 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
They're currently staying here.
Your first way, please.
Sorry, it's all right.
Oh, again.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Celebrate as much as possible by everyone who comes here. If I go there, something happens. So, I believe it's for the best.
Well, thank you for joining us at Devon Live. As you can see, Exeter stands with Ukraine. Councillor Phil Bialik, supported by MP Brent Bradshaw. In the centre of Exeter, we're in Bedford Square in Princess A. We had some very moving words there from both of them, sending out a message of support for the beleaguered people of Ukraine.
Sorry, excuse me.
I'm going to try and get an extra word with Phil, if we can, and Ben Bradshaw before I leave. I'll just let the camera do the talking. You can see a lot of people here. Difficult to say how many. 200 perhaps? Let's see if Phil has got the time to speak. Sorry. It's all right. Phil, hi. Sorry to disturb you. It's Paul Grease from Devon Live, and we're just doing a Facebook Live. Obviously heard your very moving words there. Would you, just to reiterate, if you can please, just direct to the camera here, why you felt the need to organise the event today, and what message do you think it sends out?
Okay. Well, first of all, Simon and I we're the sons of a Ukrainian refugee. We're proud of our heritage and our name. We support this country. Of course we do. We've fitted in. But on Friday morning I felt such a deep anguish for what was happening. And I just felt, and my wife felt, we needed to do something. I'm fortunate enough to be the leader of the City Council. And if I can't do something as leader of the City Council, what is the point? And so I wanted this, and I'm so pleased to see all these people here. We're meeting new people from the Ukrainian community who've come over. We lost a lot of contact when our parents died. All those relationships broke down as we went our separate ways. And we're now meeting new people from the Ukraine who's coming, living and working here. We want to support them, and I want to see whatever we can do as a local authority to help people. We pride ourselves as a city of sanctuary here in Exeter. We want to support people, and that is our mission. That's what we will continue to do.
Are there any practical steps people can take to show their support?
Well, I think, in relation to clothing, money and that sort of stuff, I think all those agencies will be starting. Just wait for a day or two. I feel sure we don't want stuff being bundled up in places at the moment. It needs to be organised, and I want to see what we can do to play our part with the Ukrainian community in supporting such ventures as that. I think people here in this country will want to give and want to be part of it, and I really support them.
We saw you were speaking to, was it your cousin?
My cousin,
Your
Basil,
cousin, yeah.
yes.
How are they? Presumably he's safe.
They live in a town called Chernetsy in the west of the Ukraine. His two sons will be joining the militia. They want to stay. They want to support each other as a family. They're invested in Ukraine. That's their home. That's where they want to live. If they have to leave temporarily, they may have to, but they want to return. And so really, I want us to be able to do whatever we can to support them.
Well, if the next time you speak, if you could send out the best wishes of the people of Exeter and Devon.
Thank you.
We're fully in support of them in this extremely difficult situation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye. I know.
We'll try and grab a word with Ben Bradshaw before we leave. Also some members of the crowd perhaps who turned out here. Excuse me. Hello, I'm from Devon Live.
Yes.
I'm doing a Facebook Live at the moment. Would you mind speaking to the camera just to explain why you're here? Is that okay? Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Larissa, and I just came to say something against aggression that is happening in my country, and it's absolutely disgusting. Today, there are lots of people that died, civilians that died, and I'm originally from Kiev. And my mom is here, my dad is there, lots of friends are there. And unfortunately, it's great, the sanctions are working, but they're not stopping Putin. So, I don't know what world, there's something has to be done, because who will be next? He was in Georgia, he was in all other regions, and there are huge plans. They're saying that, the plan is to connect Transnistria with, and then the Georgia will be next.
Yeah.
So I think Europe should take a very firm stance.
Are you in contact with your family?
Yes, I am in contact.
And
yes.
are they safe, relatively safe at the moment? Or?
Yes, well, they are safe, but nobody is safe in Ukraine. Nobody is safe, because what's happening now. Then there is the Russians who are there. They need food. They will need shelter to sleep, and so the areas where they're invading, the villages. There's a huge threat that there will be some violations, because they will need to get food. They cannot stay there without these supplies for long. Yeah.
What practical help do you think people in other nations should be giving Ukraine at the moment?
Well, just boycott Russian goods. Boycott Russian goods and try to unite the nations and press the governments to take a strong stand. And because as we see, every day, what they were saying yesterday, they were saying we're not going to do this, and then the next day come and the tougher sanctions are implemented. Now they already the SWIFT. Russia is disconnected from SWIFT, So it's just the matter of time. But during this time, people are dying.
Yeah. Well, listen, send our best wishes to your family. Are you heartened by the support?
Sorry?
Are you heartened and encouraged by the support of of people in other countries? Seems
Yes,
to be-
of course. It's just like I think Ukraine. We will not. The people. People are very grateful for the support that they receive from the Western country, and would not be able to stand the ground so firm without the support of the West, definitely. So all the financial support, all the weapons that they were delivered during the last few months, that was a huge support, and in fight for for freedom, for democracy, for all the values that Europe represents.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking
Thank
to me.
you.
To see if Mr. Bradshaw is still around. There he is. Hello, sorry. Are you? We're with Devon Live at the moment. Yeah. Is there? Would you mind speaking to the camera? You're here to show your support today.
Yeah, very much so. You like, yeah.
Yeah. What's your name, please?
I'm Bill Davis.
And why do you feel the need to be here today?
Well, my father used to be in the forces, and we were actually stationed out in Berlin. And the Russian people as a whole, generally good people, and I've got a good Russian friend. She's in agreement with me. A lot of the Russian people just don't like Putin himself. They're all afraid to say anything because of the repressive type of world they live in. And I don't think anyone really wants this war. It's just Putin's decided he's either power hungry or similar.
Yeah.
Just wants to retain back what used to be. Well, unfortunately, the world's moved on since then.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people now are used to having a bit of freedom, a bit of being able to express themselves. And he's obviously living in the good old days, or in his good old days, as they were.
Yeah. It's a surprise that there's still a character around like Putin, is it? We've got so used to peace in the
you've got
Western
the
world.
likes of the guys out in North Korea and that. There's always going to be dictators and crackpots around in the world. Unfortunately, in this case, you've got a chap who's got a control of a very large arsenal of weapons and a lot of influence around the world.
Yeah.
Very much like the Chinese, they've got a lot of influence in the world, and I'm sure there are things go on behind the scenes that none of us ever get to hear about. A lot of things probably the UK government stopped from going on in behind the world, but we live in sort of what I would call the general world, and we hope for the best that none of this ever comes to fruition. And unfortunately, it's now come to fruition, and we need to do something about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that is from the States.
Oh, sorry. Let us see if we can get the Russian.
We're in constant contact. But anyway, I'm taking a video of you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Please share it on social media. I wasn't taking any films, but I hope that other people were.
Yeah.
Ben, could you spare a minute for Devon Live, please?
Yes,
I'm
of
just doing
course.
a Facebook Live of the event here today.
Yeah.
Practical steps. You set out some in your speech there. Would you mind just reiterating?
No, I
some
mean,
of
I
those
think
steps?
being here in Exeter today and showing solidarity with the people of the Ukraine as they cower in their basements and fight in their streets, and some flee their country, is really important because, in the social media world, the people of Ukraine are seeing these messages of support being sent from around the world. The other thing that we can do is that we can keep pressure on our own government to go much further, much faster on economic sanctions, to finally close down the London laundromat, the centre that London provides for the laundering of dirty Russian money that has sustained Putin and his kleptocracy. And we can also put pressure on the government to help the Ukraine with lethal equipment so that they can defend themselves, but also to be much more generous in terms of opening our doors to Ukrainian refugees. These are people who don't want to leave their country, and they will want to go back when this conflict is over. But other countries have done this, and it's really important. If we were being bombed out of our homes by a fascist dictator, how would we feel if other countries are putting obstacles in our way from fleeing to safety? So I think there are those practical steps that we can do, and what's encouraging is at long last the democratic world seems to be getting real about Putin's true intentions, and we've seen a good show of unity from the West, but we need to sustain that because we're probably in this for the long haul.
you, of course, you've worked at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in a crisis many years ago. If you were back there now, what would be the first step that you would take in government?
Well, there are so many steps that the government could be taking and should be taking, and probably quite a few they could have taken earlier. What worries me about the government's response to this is it seems to have been almost entirely unprepared, and we've known for weeks that Putin was going to do this. Some of us have been predicting it for years. We would have hoped that the government and its allies would have had a whole swathe of sanctions ready to go from day one, but it seems as if we're slightly making this up as we go along. But look, there's no point kind of regretting what hasn't been done in the past. We have to focus on what needs to be done now, and the government needs to move much more quickly, much more resolutely to close down Putin's economy, to punish the oligarchs and their cronies in London, and to really isolate this regime and make Putin feel the pain of his actions, because in the end that's the only thing that will end this crisis. And support those brave Russians as well who are taking to the streets in Russia, demonstrating against his aggression, running the risk of being arrested and thrown into jail without trial. An awful lot of courage at the moment, but this is the seminal moment in our country's history, and Europe has now changed. Europe has changed this week, and I think we're all still catching up with that.
It is indeed a seminal moment. It is. Is it heartening finally just to see the support here of ordinary people just turning out, many thousands of miles away from the epicenter?
Fantastic. I mean, look at this turnout. It's absolutely amazing. This is only organised a day or two ago. There's been a spontaneous outpouring of solidarity and emotion and anger and sadness, but also wonderful support for our local Ukrainian community and from our local Ukrainian community. Our own Phil Bialik, of course, has a Ukrainian heritage, which makes it particularly poignant. Exeter's always had a very welcoming spirit for people in crisis and in trouble, and I'm sure we'll be doing that again in the days and weeks to come.
Ben Bradshaw, thank you very much.
My name is Philip Bialik.
I feel but
That, of course, was the Exeter MP, Ben Bradshaw. Hi, I'm just doing a Facebook Live for Devon Live. Where are you from? Are you?
So we are from Ukraine, most of us from Ukraine.
Okay, would you mind just introducing yourself, please?
Sorry?
Would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Gleb. I'm from Ukraine. I moved here about 3 years ago, I think, with Tanya. She's my wife.
My name is Tanya. I'm from Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm a PhD student here, and I was I think, first year undergraduate student in Kiev back in the day when the revolution started in Kiev, where we, where we as well had the similar kind of situation. Yeah. And this
what are your thoughts at the moment? It's a terrible time.
Yeah.
When you see those images and when you speak to relatives, presumably, what are you thinking? You must be highly emotional.
Mostly anger, I guess, and just the fact that you can't do anything from here other than just holding a poster and saying stop Putin, but nobody can stop him unless Russian people also rebel, because we can't do anything to Putin, but people in Russia can actually do something now, because now is the best time to do anything, because most of the army is now in Ukraine, but many people are disinformed completely, saying that Ukraine is attacking Ukraine now, and Russians think that nothing is happening, like Putin is bringing peace to Ukraine by attacking and killing people. It's mad, and people just don't want to believe anything that Ukrainians say, even when they see bombs in buildings and people dying and kids dying and Russian soldiers killing small kids. I don't know. We saw a video of a Russian tank running across a car of a civilian. He survives, thankfully. But the fact that they still don't believe this in the in the world of internet, when we can see this is proof, this is what's happening, and they just don't. They just shut out and they want to live their normal lives.
Yeah, I think many people thought this. Did the people of Ukraine think it was actually going to happen? That
nobody believed they will just take tanks and go straight into the capital. No one believed it till today it happened. And now my friends are hiding in bunkers and praying that they will survive another night, and this is just horrible.
What do you feel that? Do you feel relieved that you're not there, or do you feel that?
No, absolutely not. We would like to be there. We would like to help. We would like to join the army, do whatever we can actually. So a lot of our friends join in the army right now. And people are just we are united. We are fighting for our national identity, and no one can take that from us.
But many people still can do a lot from abroad. Those who can't help right there and there, they can sign. Well, petitions don't do anything, I guess, but they can donate to Ukrainian army. They can donate to civilians. They can send money to help buy medicine. People abroad in Poland help refugees. That's awesome. And I don't know. They can just.
And it's not always about the money. We can just spread the news. We can stop Russians from being brainwashed or something, and we can just all unite and we can at least show the Putin we do not respect.
Are you encouraged by? I mean, there's Vigil here today. There's lots around the country, in other countries as well. The international support for Ukraine seems
awesome.
solid.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to feel that support, and of course, it really helps. And all of the military help from UK that supported Ukraine with weaponry, with they were doing some kind of training sessions with Ukraine army and so on. It's we cannot express how thankful we are for that.
For everyone who shows up.
Here today we just met our new friend from Russia, who's Volodya, and he's also, of course, not. Well, Volodya, would you like to?
So I'm Vladimir. I was born in Moscow, but I've lived in the UK for over 20 years, and obviously, this comes as a massive shock, right? That in the modern day that something would happen like this, and I completely condemn, war in general, but also this killing of,
And what is your assessment of the situation with Russia? Is this basically the one man Putin?
I think so. I think he's what the media says about him, taking absolute power and isolating himself from anybody from influencing him is absolutely correct. I think, and I hope that if he goes away, then the country can have a collective rethink about.
Do you speak to relatives in Russia? What did they say?
I have grandparents. They obviously condemn it, right? They still remember, their mothers and fathers fighting, in the Second World War, right? So, the media there is blacked out, right? Normal TV doesn't show, what's happening. That's why they've, been blocking out Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. But obviously, my grandparents don't use those social media because they're not that generation.
Do you think would there be any chance at all of Russians within Russia?
I think there is. I think there is a lot of support, and I think people need to realize that they're not helpless and powerless. That together they can. No country can be governed by one man.
Okay, well, well, that's nice to hear. Maybe if ordinary people like each and every one of us here were in charge and not megalomaniacs, that day might come sometime. We'll see. Well, listen, thank you very much for talking to me. I appreciate that. Well, there you go. That's the vigil, the Exeter Vigil for Ukraine. We'll end the video now.
Oh, is he keeping an eye on his sister, yeah? Where is she?
We heard a very moving speech from Ben Bradshaw. He was close to tears right at the beginning there. And he was laying out some of the practical steps that people could take to support Ukraine. And he also said the UK government could go further in its actions and sanctions against Russia. And the council leader, Phil Bialik, who organised the event today, he has relatives in the Ukraine, and he actually spoke to one of them over the mobile phone. Thankfully he's safe at the moment, and he conveyed his thoughts of thanks to the people of Exeter and Devon, the UK in general, for the support they've shown to his country in these difficult times. Well, that's all from Exeter city centre. We'll leave the broadcast there.